This is the podcast overview for week 7. This will be 1 week of 2 where we will be covering stereotyping, prejudice, and discrimination. So we'll spend this week and next week on this topic because I just feel like it's so important, especially in the context of today's political climate and environment. And it's just a super interesting area of social psychology. So I put a little quote here from E.B. White. Some of you might better know this author from Charlotte's Web. Prejudice is a great time saver. You can form opinions without having to get the facts. And isn't that true? Prejudice is to prejudge. And we prejudge people all the time. Everyone does it. Everyone's a culprit. Because we do it because it saves us time. If we can draw a conclusion about somebody without really having to get to know them, we consider that a plus. And we might not even really consider it. We might just do it automatically because we're used to it. So that's kind of like what we're going to be exploring with this chapter, are all the elements that go into that. So you can watch the podcast overview here, which you are. The objectives for the chapter are here. There's a lot here. Some of this stuff might be familiar to you if you've taken maybe an ethnic studies class or sociology class of sociology of prejudice or discrimination. And some of it might not. Some of these terms might be newer to you. So I would really recommend listening to the podcast overview where I kind of go over a lot of this before you get started on the reading. You will be reading chapter 6 this week, and then we're going to continue into the chapter next week. So I would even recommend next week reading it again. I'm kind of doing that on purpose. This is a point in the semester where I like to just slow it down just a little bit and give you a little extra time to take in the material. You'll also be reading Article 16 called Why We Hate. And this is a change from the syllabus. So your syllabus indicates a different article reading, which we'll actually be reading next week. So please take note of that. But the article reading is right here. And then you have your lecture slides here that you want to take a look at. You have this video. There's actually a number of videos for this week. So please watch every single video. This one is an overview. It's Crash Course in Psychology, covering prejudice and discrimination. So go ahead and take a look at that. And then this is a Khan Academy video that covers prejudice and discrimination based on specifically race, ethnicity, power, social class, and prestige. This Khan Academy video looks at stereotypes and stereotype threat, as well as self-fulfilling prophecy. So all of that's talked about in the chapter, and so this video will help give you some more examples of that so that you can process through that. This is a video on the implicit association task, or the IAT. You're going to read about that in your book. And this is, I believe it's a Dateline special. And it's an interview with the creators of the implicit association test. And they're talking about why they developed the test, what it can be used for, and some surprising findings that they came across in the development of it. This video is a little bit longer. This is the original footage of a video that was done by Frontline called A Class Divided. It's actually a lot of times referred to as the brown-eyed, blue-eyed study. And it was done by Jane Elliott, who was a 3rd grade teacher. And she did this little mini experiment with her 3rd grade class, not knowing that it would catapult her into the spotlight and become a major eye-opener for society on how Prejudice can be learned, specifically at a young age and specifically via observational learning and taking cues from adults and modeling their behavior. So very, very good. Please give that a watch. And then these are some shorter clips. This one is a little kind of survey video looking at gender bias. This is just an ad put out by Snickers that looks at homophobia in the media, and that wraps up the videos. So while there's a lot there, most of them are very quick. The lengthier one would be the Jane Elliott, is like a full-length documentary. And you may have seen that actually documentary. If you're an education major, that's a very popular video that's shown about the dynamics in the classroom when it comes to prejudice. All right, so once you've done all the reading and you've watched the videos, you're ready to do your discussion. You're going to read Article 16 and Chapter 6. You're going to be integrating both into your answers here. So number one, based on the information in the article and videos, especially Article 16 and the IAT video, how would you answer someone who claims that he or she is not in the least bit prejudiced? What concepts explain why prejudice exists? And then back up your answers with research cited in the text, article, or videos. So here's a really great opportunity to just tie in what you learned about the IAT and what it helps explain about prejudice, and then go ahead and insert even more coming from the chapter on why prejudice exists, what theories help explain where it comes from. And then secondly, given the current climate of race relations, how optimistic or pessimistic are you that prejudice can be eliminated from society? So this is a personal question first. I'm going to kind of give me your opinion of what you think. And then tell me, well, what does the research say about working to eliminate prejudice? Is it possible? Are there ways that we can help reduce it or even eliminate it? And if so, what are those ways? You know, in the workforce, in education, in the government, in policies that are written. How can we help eliminate prejudice? And you're going to go to the research there. So that wraps up the week. Please let me know as you're working through the material if you have any questions.